Hi everyone. Today I'll be addressing what you need to take into account when you design or manufacture a new product or service for the market. You will learn the how part of knowing if your product or service will get market traction and if it is a viable solution for the end user's problems. We will talk extensively about a relatively new concept that is ideal when introducing a new offering or when you add services or products in your business. It is a process that is used to solve difficult and complicated problems using the unusual solutions. This topic is about human-centered design thinking and its processes. We will look into who you are solving the problem for, what their needs are, how will you solve their problem, and why the solution that you are providing is important or matters to the end user. This brings us to the question, what is human-centered design thinking? Well, human-centered design thinking is a non-linear process that uses integrative thinking by being empathetic, creative, innovative, and using analytical skills through iterative improvement. It is a designer's toolkit to find new ideas and discover innovative ways to solve a problem from the user's perspective. It therefore encourages people to explore alternatives by using new and unfamiliar solutions. Design thinking is a technique for creativity and innovation. It is about developing the new product and user experience, focuses on solving the end user problems, and provides methods and unifying language for collaboration for greater creativity and better solutions. It is user-centric and driven by empathy, in that it allows the developer to look at the problem from outside, or rather from inside out, as opposed to the conventional way of looking at the problem from outside, thus allowing the manufacturer or designer not to answer questions correctly, but to find the correct questions to the answer. It is an iterative process in which we seek to understand the user, challenge assumptions, and redefine problems in an attempt to identify alternative strategies and solutions that might not be instantly apparent with our initial level of understanding. At the same time, it provides a solution-based approach to solving problems. One can therefore safely say that it is a way of thinking and working as well as a collective way of achieving your goal using a hands-on approach. Some of the world's leading brands such as Apple, Google, Samsung, General Electric have rapidly adopted this design thinking approach. It is being taught at leading universities around the world, including Stanford, where it actually started, Harvard, and Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology. Design thinking techniques help us to analyze the state of companies, from the perspective of its client and customers in order to determine our next moves. It evolved as a respected nonlinear problem-solving protocol that applies professional creative design principles to general business strategies. It means taking the time to analyze what needs to be changed and deciding on specific steps that structure and tailor your approach to suit your company's goals. It concentrates on, first, identifying problematic issues in your offering, second, creating solutions, and thirdly, focusing on implementing those solutions that you have identified. We as humans naturally develop patterns of thinking modeled on repetitive activities and commonly accessed knowledge. These assist us in quickly applying the same actions and knowledge in similar or familiar situations, but they have the potential to prevent us from quickly and easily accessing or developing new ways of seeing, understanding, and solving problems. Design thinking is therefore extremely useful in tackling complex problems that are ill-defined or unknown. By understanding the human needs involved and reframing the problem in human-centric ways, design thinkers processes help us to systematically extract, to teach, to learn, and apply these human-centered techniques to solve our everyday problems. Design thinking starts with empathy in order to gain insights which may reveal new and unexplored ways of seeing and identifying courses of action to follow in bringing about preferred solutions for business and workplace. It involves reframing the current problem and gaining more holistic perspectives about it. It encourages collaborative, multi-party engagement to leverage the skills, personalities, and other divergent views in order to solve identified problems, differing judgments, and brainstorming a quality of ideas or possible solutions. It later employs quantitative and very selective mechanisms, combining and refining insights and accepting more mature ideas. It engages in early exploration of selected ideas, rapidly modeling prototype to allow for gaining additional insights into the viability of the minimal viable products before we spend too much time or money on these final products. It allows the designers to test the prototypes which survive the processes further to remove any potential issues raised by the market. And finally, it iterates through the various stages, revisiting empathetic frames of mind and redefining the challenge as a new knowledge of insight is gained along the way as you are iterating and going through these processes back and forth. As much as creative and innovative thinking can be challenging, human-centered design thinking provides unconventional solutions as opposed to our constant use of the knowledge that is based on what we know when we solve these problems. Thinking outside the box can provide an innovative solution to a sticky problem. However, thinking outside the box can be a real challenge as we naturally develop patterns of thinking that are modeled on the repetitive activities and commonly accessed knowledge we surround ourselves with. Therefore, human-centered design thinking is a search for designers or manufacturers to match the end user's needs with the available resources in business or a workplace. Apparently years ago, a truck manufacturing company couldn't get a newly built truck out of the manufacturing plant because the top was too high and it got stuck on the concrete exit arch and therefore couldn't reverse or go forward. Engineers and experts were summoned to come up with various effective solutions. Each spoke of a solution which fitted with their respective fields of expertise. Some even suggesting that they break the arch wall, and some proposed that they dismantle the top of the truck in order to dislodge it. A factory general worker witnessed and eavesdropped on the conversation. He looked on and said gently to the engineers and experts, "Why don't you just deflate the tires? Or what would actually happen if you deflate the tires?" The experts and engineers looked at each other amazed how come none of them has ever thought of that simple solution. And indeed, when the tires were deflated, the truck was able to drive free with ease, having suffered only the damage caused by its initial attempt to pass underneath the exit arch. The story above symbolizes the challenges where oftentimes the most obvious solutions are the ones hardest to come by. Because this is solely because of our self-restricted thinking that confine ourselves to or in business or in a workplace. It's often difficult for us humans to challenge our assumptions and what we know because we rely on our maps of reality or our past experiences so that we don't always have to learn new things. Human-centered design thinking is often referred to as creative and innovative thinking processes because it uses innovation to improve and better the results. The very crux or pillar of human-centered design thinking is working with users in order to improve your services or your product. This is achieved by analyzing and understanding how the end user interacts with your service as they use it. Human-centered design thinking, therefore, questions and challenges our assumptions, and to a great length or extent, it compels us to explore new ways to solve our daily problems. In so doing, we dig deeper into solutions in order to uncover new ways of improving our products or services. It therefore forces us to use the conventional or known methods of solving a problem, or rather not to even use that. This is an iterative and non-linear process which makes us continuously monitor, review, and improve our previous offering, from empathy to test as well as retesting. During these linear processes, we are able to identify new solutions or alternatives in solving a problem. We first start by collecting any relevant amount of data and later select according to quality and functionality. It is said that design thinking process is a blend of the heart, the head, and the hand. This means the process is based on vision, need, emotion, and feelings to begin with, continuing on to the cognitive processing, ideation, and evaluation, and then diving into the practical creation by hand. Human-centered design thinking was reinterpreted as an acronym to mean hear, create, and deliver. The here stage is about developing an empathic understanding of users, as well as defining the problem that the team is trying to solve. Similar to the ideate and prototype phases, the create stage is concerned with exploration, experimentation, and learning through making. It involves pinpointing potential areas of exploration and then engaging those closest to the problem to co-create solutions. This allows design teams to maintain the highest levels of empathy during early design phases, as well as weed out potential problematic assumptions that are made by designers who do not sufficiently understand the context. The deliver phase is centered around logistical implementation and overcoming any obstacles which may exist when rolling out a solution within the required context. The design thinking process has 5 stages: the empathize, define, ideate, prototype, as well as the test. The empathize is about knowing the human end user's needs that you are trying to design for. The define phase is about identifying the solution to the problem. The ideate is the creation of many different ideas. Prototyping is the creation of a model that we designed. And finally, the testing is about how you test the product with the end user. Each stage should be given time and appropriate resources in order to create an end product that truly meets the user needs as well as their wants. We're going to look into detail, or rather we're going to look or analyze in detail each and every stage of the human design thinking processes. Let's look at empathize stage. As the word empathize means or suggests, you put yourself in the end user's shoes. That is, you walk the mile with them. This step is used to consider the human needs involved in problem being solved. by delving deeper into understanding the customer's problems with your service or product, as well as any solution that the end user has already tried before. This will enable the designer to avoid trying the same solution that the end user or has tried before, or has failed before. It involves getting to know the real user's emotional and psychological problems or needs, and not just to design solutions based on assumptions. The empathize phase involves asking questions, conducting interviews, and extensive research. For example, you might want to ask yourself the following questions. 1. What is the customer problem that I am trying to solve? 2. Do they have any current alternative solution in the market? 3. If there is currently a similar solution, are they paying for that alternative to your proposed product, or are they getting it for free? In this instance, we might refer to your Wi-Fi. Are they getting a free Wi-Fi where they are, or are they paying for this Wi-Fi? Fourthly, how will the buyers like to have the product or service delivered? Will they want to have it on a premium, that is a monthly premium, or do they want to have it on credit, or how else do they want to have it? Is it cash on delivery, or how else? Empathize involves both observing end users' interaction with your offering and questioning them on the problems they face that make their experience with your offering undesirable or painful. The goal of empathize stage is to obtain the end user's views on how you can improve your offering or solution and solve their problems at the same time. The most important part of empathizing is to uncover the emotional connection that your end user and stakeholders have to your product or your company. In this stage, you eliminate assumptions by letting go of your own preconceived conceptions and value judgments as you listen to the end users and immerse yourself in their needs and their viewpoint. The next stage that we're going to look into is the define stage. This stage is informed by data collected from empathy. Here you analyze and interpret data collected, develop, refine, and reframe the problem to be solved. Ask yourself, what is the pain point that the user is experiencing? Once the problem has been identified and knowing which solutions have been tried and tested but failed, then we start to define the problem from the end user's perspective rather than from the designer or the company's view. It is even better still at this moment to reframe the problem. Albert Einstein once said, "If I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask. For once I know the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes." Figuring out the right question is the same as figuring out the right perspective. You might want to analyze the viability of your solution by deliberating on the following issues. How might we provide an effective and sustainable solution with our product or service? What will be the profit strategy of this proposed solution? What are the keys or costs associated with producing, marketing, delivering, and sustaining this product or service? Will the value that we obtain over the period that the customer is with us be greater than the cost of acquiring them? That is, acquiring these particular end users. And finally, all factors considered, should we continue to make this product or this service? After examining responses from your end users, narrow them down in order for you to address and clarify the exact problems that you want to solve. The third stage, ideate phase. This is the process where you generate ideas and solutions that generate a range of radical proposals and ideas. as well as methods solving the problem. We also challenge the assumptions of those involved about what is or isn't a viable solution that leads to innovative ideas. For example, when someone says that the proposed solution won't work or cannot be implemented, they must be asked why they believe it won't work or it cannot be implemented. This can lead to more ideas and cause those participants to challenge their own assumptions about their proposed solution or their resistance therefore or thereto. At this stage, it is unlikely that the final solution will be discovered. The point here is to come up with as many ideas as possible, filter through them to identify the best ones, and then figure out which ones should move on to the next step, which is prototyping. The ultimate objective of ideation is to explore and eventually settle on prototype that you will use for testing with the end users. This ensures that your future solutions will work the way that you want them to do. Let's look at the fourth one, the prototype phase. The general part about this phase is that it can allow designers to innovatively create a physical, authentic, and tangible model or solution for the end users, thereby putting to test if the offering meets the needs of the users. At this stage, reiteration is part of the process as you discover new methods or new challenges. Prototyping should be done in stages, starting with a rough draft or the minimum viable product that is used to gather feedback from the users as well as the stakeholders. As the solutions are narrowed down, higher functioning and better designed prototype can be created for further testing in a more realistic production environment. By the time you get to the prototyping stage, you'd have identified problems that you want to solve and considered a wide range of possible solutions. Remember, that will be done through the ideation stage. The best way to prototype is to pull in all participants, including the actual end users who helped you with their views as well as their in-house or your in-house team when you were doing the ideation as well as the defining stage. This launches a second conversation with the end users and stakeholders that you used initially at point where you have taken their concerns into account to find out what they need from this prototype. And also, you'll be able to ask them what they think of the prototype that you have designed. Consider this stage as a way to reinforce the empathy and refine the results, as well as explore multiple approaches and constraints. For example, you might want to say, where does your solution fall short? Or does it even need more or less of something else? Prototyping helps you narrow down what works and what doesn't in a setting where all end users and stakeholders contribute their input. Let's look at the final stage, the test stage. This is the most important stage of design thinking process. It involves using the actual end users to give feedback to and also analyze what the riskiest parts of the offering or business model that might be during the testing phase. The testing challenges the initial assumptions that we had and reveals whether our interpretation of the issues are true or not. It led us further to refine or fine-tune our prototypes and retesting them until our solutions meet the end user's needs and wants. The end user feedback allows us, or rather even the designers, to really solve problems that they are designed to solve. When testing, the designers or manufacturers should know that what is it that matters or doesn't work in order to improve on the subsequent prototypes. Just because you have reached this stage doesn't mean that the problem is solved or the solution will not work, or that it will work. Sometimes it means the opposite. You might have to go back to the drawing board to circle back to the empathy and define steps and start the process all over again, perhaps with a different emphasis to synthesize what you have learned so far. These iterations continue in a loop until everyone is satisfied with the results. In fact, at each stage, you may find the need to return back to square one. Hence we say design thinking process is non-linear. Testing with users is critical to define your solution and better understand your customers. Allow users to experience the prototype and follow up with additional interviews about what works for them and what doesn't. Let us look at now the implementation phase of the design thinking. Designers should strive to create products that are the best possible solutions for their end users as well as their stakeholders, not what's best for their company. Users don't care about your biases such as whether the solution is creative and efficient for your company. What they really care about is that the offering provides optimum solution, adds value, is practical, and offers effective solution that solves their nagging problems. In the end, it should always be objective of every designer and their teams to ensure that their solutions solve the end user's problems and satisfy them. That is the end of our presentation, and thank you very much. Don't forget to click on subscribe and also to get notifications when we bring up or come up with our other business videos. And thank you so much for being part of this video recording. Thank you very much.